Isaac Hernandez.
I'm the very awake Holly McClure.
And this is Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you aware and informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment, even when I'm half asleep.
We're exhausted because we have been at Content 22, and I mean, it has been 3 fun-filled days of lots of exciting interviews and activity, hasn't it?
It's been a lot of work.
It has been.
I've been to, I think, all but 2 of them, so I think I've been to at least 6 maybe or so. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, so it's hard for me to really know what. But I've been here to a lot of them. And first of all, they keep getting better and better.
Yes.
They really do. But it's also because I'm so involved in it now with him. Now, if I was just an attendee, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I'm involved with it, so it's very tiring.
But one thing that we've gotten from everyone that I've talked to is how they have loved this time, how they've loved the community, they've loved networking, and people said this has been great. I'm kind of surprised and shocked myself, I have to tell you, that someone would come for 4 days. That's a lot of expense and time, and
You've never been to this one, have you?
I never have, and so I was kind of surprised and shocked that you would come for 4 days for this, because even NRB, a lot of people come for 2 days, you know, when we go to NRB, and that's the main one I've always been to over the years. Some people come for 4 or 5 if you've got a booth or whatever, but if you're just coming to visit. But no, people were here and they've done classes, and there have been great activities and good workshops. Tim has done a good job with that, Tim Shields, you know.
There's more amazing here is that there are at least 35 volunteers.
Wow.
And I know because I'm part of knowing who's being housed here, but there's like 35 volunteers, and a lot of them are really kind of high-level people in this industry. I mean, we have some actresses that have been in pretty major films. One of them, which we interviewed, of course, is on that series Vindication.
Venus Money.
She's volunteering to, I don't even know do what, but I know somebody that was a pretty high-level executive in PureFlix.
Yes.
And I've seen her here at least 2 or 3 times volunteering to clean up.
I know. People just want to serve. They want to be with the community. And this has been a great, I think, for people who wanted to get an idea of what the business is about. I talked to a girl today. She goes, how do you become an executive producer? I said, well, you're kind of starting at the top, you know. And she goes, I don't know anything about it, but I just know that's what I want to do. Tell me about it. How could I enter and how could I find out? You have everything from that, like you said, then to people who are like, I'm in films, I've got a TV show starting next week, I've got, projects, to writers, directors, people that are wanting to just act, all of it. So it's a great assortment. It's not just for people who are already doing something, it's a wide variety.
It really is. And I think another amazing thing is how many young people there were.
Yes. I mean, really amazed at the groups of young people praying together, arms around each other, supporting each other in prayer, very supportive. They're excited working on projects. And there's one with the church, I think Gateway Church, or a subsidiary of that, had a group here that they were doing some things too for churches. So it's even reaching into the church community. And
that's important because one thing, and I've been to tons of these. This is just one of about 10, I think, that I've attended over the years on a regular basis. And one thing that I hardly ever see is church involvement. Now, the people go to church. I mean, there's a lot of producers, directors, actors, writers, and I'm sure they go to some church, but they're not here representing the church. And I see very little church media people. Mm-hmm. And that's always baffled me because a church will send their women's director to a women's conference, right? They'll send their youth director to a youth conference. They'll send their children's pastor to a children's conference. They'll send everyone, but for some reason they never send media people. It's as though that's not ministry. All these are ministry, this is just technical. I talked to a group the other day, Richland, Texas, south of Houston. Mm-hmm. Does that ring a bell? And their church came up here, 4 people from their church, because they're getting into more production and they wanted to see how to do producing for their church. Dallas Jenkins is a good example, the producer, director, creator of The Chosen. He but he was in a church for several years and made a film there at the church and kind of taught that church how to get more into film and video production. And of course, he went on to come out of that and birth the idea of The Chosen. So a lot of good things can come out of churches. Well, I, of course, was at a church for many years, and even though I was the worship pastor, but I also was the one that, because of my career in media, I was the one that kind of set up all the media stuff. And from very early on, and this is how effective media is to the church. From very early on, when we were just a little church of 20 people, I started doing commercials for the church. And back then, it was when cable systems, and I don't know if it's the same here, now, but cables used to have to insert local commercials. That was part of why they got the license to have cable systems in a particular city.
Mhm.
They had to insert local commercials on network channels for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And they were selling those for like $5 for 30 seconds, okay? So I'm like, that's awesome. So we started doing these little commercials, very simple little 30
Yeah.
second commercials. And they were put on ESPN and I think one of the Fox channels. We were putting them on 5 different things. And you know that we grew at a very rapid rate because people would come and say, I saw your commercial and I saw how happy people looked. I saw
Mhm.
how multicultural your church
Yes.
was. I saw it. And so it just intrigued me. So churches need to really get a grasp of the fact that media is just a huge tool for them to have.
Right, right. And these days, churches need to be not so much about entertainment. We're not talking about that as far as come learn entertainment. Come learn how to tell a message and how to tell a story. It's a parable. It's a parable from the Bible, the modern day parable. So it's really a different way to have a church message done. And like you said, if you could run some spots and commercials and do that and attract people to come, well,
Yeah.
your job was done. It did what it's supposed to do. So, and speaking of, I didn't even know you could sing, and then you sang. I'm like, oh yeah, you're like, oh, you sing in church. For years, I've heard you say you sing in church. Never have heard you, and I'm just gonna flatter you the heck out of you right now because you sang great. What an anointed night that was the other night. I hope we have some clip. We can run a clip of you singing. I think I actually caught a few on my camera, but you did
Oh.
great. It was
Oh.
wonderful.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never felt that I was a good singer. I hear people that have amazing voices, and I wish I had those voices, and I don't have that. I have to be honest, I don't have that. But I do have the anointing for worship.
You do,
That
and that's a different thing.
it's a whole
It's a
different
different
thing.
thing anointing for worship.
And so when I get up there, maybe my voice sounds better when I'm up there. I don't know, because when I'm at home, my wife says, "You're not going to do that song because it doesn't sound that good."
She's your best
She
critic.
hates it when I go out. But when I get up there, I don't know, something must happen. But yes, I have that anointing because I really do it with just such a soft heart towards God. And worship to me is very important. And okay, so I did it for 10 years as a worship leader at a big church, but it became a job because it was a big church and there's a lot expected of you, and we were doing 5 services a
I
weekend.
remember that, yeah.
And that's why I said I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And I stopped doing it. And then like 15 years later is when Tim said, can you when he found out I led worship, can you do worship for us? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And it's been so good because it's not a job. I come and I just lead worship. And so I get all emotional about it.
But speaking of emotional, what, it's particularly you've been under attack before content, and you weren't even sure you're going to be able to sing. Literally till that night, right before you went on stage, you were like, I don't know, I hope my voice is going to do it. God came through.
Yeah, because first of all, of course, I went through the whole COVID thing, but that was about a year ago, but my voice never came back from that. It was really weird. I'd be like crackling, like, what in the world? So I was worried about that, but then I thought, all right, I'll just, that wasn't going to stop. But then about a month and a half ago, I developed really strong pain in my stomach, and all night I could not sleep. The morning I woke up and I said, Hans, I'm gonna have to go to emergency. And I hate going to emergency. I hate going to the doctor's, period. I went and I'm telling the guy, okay, here's what I have, my stomach hurts, and a nurse heard me telling the guy checking me in that. He comes over and he says, let me do something. He started pushing, and I'm like, because I think it might be your gallbladder. So we're gonna have to send you in for some tests.
That's right.
So immediately they take me in, they do a whole sonogram thing or whatever it is they do, and blood work and everything. And I don't know, an hour later, doctor comes out and he goes, Mr. Hernandez, you've got a gallbladder that's gonna have to come out. I'm thinking, okay, well, when? Because I'm thinking I'm gonna be scheduled for surgery. He goes, right now. That's come out right now. It's about to burst.
No.
So by the way, this is my first surgery ever. I have never spent the night in the hospital ever and I'm 64.
Wow.
Never have. So okay, I get surgery, everything's fine. About a week later, so I have to go in for a cardiogram, and they tell me there's something irregular in your heart. Okay, so now they schedule me for an angiogram and a stress test. Then when I'm supposed to go to the stress test, suddenly I have such a bad backache that I couldn't even get up from my bed. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, one after the other,
Mhm.
this feels, to me, I
And
said,
this is just weeks ago. This
this
isn't
is just
like
weeks
months
ago.
ago. It's not, you know.
and I'm like, this feels like an attack on me to keep me away from this, from going to
Yes.
content and leading
Right.
worship. Because again, worship
Yes.
is very important to me, and it's been great to come and just do it.
Yes.
Even though it's just a few little people, I was leading worship for 13,000 people, and here I'm going to do it for 150. But it's so much, it's so wonderful to me. It just feels so good to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and when I realized that, I said, I'm not going to let this stop me.
Mhm.
I'm going, even if I have to crawl in there.
Right.
I'm going, and that's what it went on.
Right. And the anointing was there, and people were so blessed. Heard so many people say that they were, and it was great to start off the event that way. It was the first night with dinner, and then that singing, and I thought, what a great way to start this whole thing. It set the tone, you know what I mean? And Tim is so good at doing that and planning that, but it really did set the tone. And honestly, that's kind of been it throughout. Every day we've talked to people that said that they felt that God was here, He's present, they've had godly discussions. In fact, some people have said, we've never been to an event before you could talk about God like this, like in Hollywood or like at,
Oh, yeah.
industry events where you talk about movies, you talk about stuff. Usually it's an oxymoron, you usually don't put those two together. So they are very excited to be able to have a place where they can talk about the creative and what God's going to do. And have you seen people pray together? I've seen lots of people praying for each
There's
other.
a lot of praying going on, but that's important to Tim. I don't know if you noticed, there's a T-shirt that he has that says, "Always pray, never give
Yes. Yes.
up." Very, very
I think they even sell them, aren't they selling them
Yeah,
for the
yes,
content thing?
it's available.
Yeah.
When he calls me, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times a week, I don't know. And every time he says, "Okay," I said, let's close before we go back, let's close in prayer. So we're praying every time he calls.
He's a prayaholic. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
is. He's a prayaholic.
He just prays all the time.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he does. But you know what? I'm not going to knock it because he's got a great
Yeah, it
thing that's
works.
gone on here.
Mhm.
And what I've also noticed is the wide range of demographic. It's not just women,
Yes.
it's not just men, it's not just a certain older age group. Like we mentioned, there's younger kids here, but people of all ages here.
Yeah.
And I love seeing even older people here. Like, you know,
Mr. Fred.
yes, I mean, you think, okay, you get 70, 80, I mean, but there are people that are older here, still have a dream, still have a vision.
Yes, you missed it because he was one of the speakers in the morning, and I know that you're not a morning person.
But let's
Did I
not bring that up. Why are you even
Did I
bringing
just-
that up?
Did that just come out? Did it just
I
come
was
out?
here, I just
No,
wasn't.
So he spoke at that one,
Yeah,
and he has spoken. He's a member of the board actually of content, and he's spoken. He's still got that fire.
yeah,
I mean, he might be an old guy, but man, he's still
Yeah.
got that fire. He's amazing. I love. He's got his own TV show.
no,
Yeah, he's like one of those judge shows. Like Judge Janine.
Oh,
Or,
what?
it's called. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna remember what it's called.
Judge Janine's on Fox, isn't she? Judge Judy, you mean, or
Judge
something?
Judy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Judge Judy. You know what? There's so many judges.
There's so many
Those
judges,
judge shows are.
Judy,
There's just so many of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But he does one. I think it's called. I don't even mind myself, but he's a judge because he actually was a
Mhm.
judge in real life, so he doesn't just play one on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a judge. He's got this show in which people come and bring their grievances, and he kind of settles it based on biblical principles.
Well, where is that on? What show was it? Do you know the name of it?
See now.
Yeah, it talks about
Yeah, I know the name. I just don't want to say it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay,
Something about the laws of life,
okay,
something like that.
interesting.
But he's done this show for several years, and he's doing like 2 or 3 shows. The man, I think, is 80 years old, but he's out there still working the kingdom.
There's a show called Vindication that they've been promoting, and that's a big show that there's an actress from there, Venus, the actress, we interviewed her. They're promoting there. There's the other one. What's the other? There's a military show. I mean, oh my gosh, what was it?
No, you're probably the series. You're probably
Yeah,
thinking
the
about
series.
Strongholds, Breaking
Yes, Breaking
Strongholds.
Strongholds. Thank you. I'm thinking PTSD, but that was Breaking
That was the
Strongholds.
movie from the same production company.
Thank you. A movie from there's that starting. So there's a lot of things that are literally getting ready to
There it
air
is.
and beyond, and are in the
Yes.
second, third, and fourth season.
Yes.
Again, we have interviews for those, so we'll be showing those. So that's good as too.
Yeah.
So a lot. It's not just a wannabe.
No.
Wannabe do stuff. People are already doing it, and they're already having success with it, and
Yeah.
having them run.
You mentioned Vindication, and of
Mhm.
course you interviewed
Yeah, Venus.
Venus on it. And remember, she mentioned something about a guy that told her that he was going to watch the series. He was just going to watch a few little episodes. Ended up binging.
Yes.
That was
Was that you?
Vision Video, who's the producers of that
Yeah.
series, sent it to me before they released season 1. So they sent me season 1 to look at it, and back then I was just super busy, always looking at stuff. So I said, well, I'll just spot check it because that's what I would do all the time. Spot
Yeah.
check. I started watching the first one, and I was like, I know I gotta keep going. I watched the second one, the third one. Before you know it, I literally watched every one. There was one that was a bad file. It was
Oh.
just so I couldn't watch it. I called them. I said, "You gotta send me. It's bad. I can't not watch it." You guys, so they sent it to me, and I totally binged on it. It was
That's so good. Well, I told her I can't wait because I'm a binger. I love to binge and watch those. And I mean, Cobra Kai is my latest one, so I went back to that, I think, fourth season now. But I can't wait to watch that too. And there's been a lot of exciting things. Since I work here at Capernaum, and this is the place where I'm at, I'm impressed, and I'm just going to say, with our staff, because we've had a great staff who have been there to do tours and to help people, and I know who they are, and there's many that have behind the scenes, and they have such a heart. From Saul, who made sure the fountains are working and there's flowers in the garden and things are growing great as well as can be expected, to Preston, who does the tours and the rentals, and he's showing people around, to Lindsay and Lane. And I mean, there's so many who just have given their heart. Stephanie, who's doing the booth over there to sell merchandise. So everyone has pitched in. And again, this is for Capernaum. They're not really with content.
No,
but their heart, because it's at Capernaum, is to help Tim. And so I just want to give a shout out to them because they've been really, bent over backwards to make this work as well.
Have, and they're quick to pivot.
Yes.
Because we have our plans. This is how the conference is going to go. Everything is all planned out. And then when it's actually happening, everything seems to change.
Right.
And these volunteers, the staff actually at Capernaum, are just quick. Like Tim will say, you know what, we're going to have to set up a stage there and put 50 chairs, and that wasn't on our plan. But before you know it, 50 chairs are up and the stage is up.
Yeah, there you go. And that's their heart.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen. When you're behind the scenes, you don't really ever get the praise, but I've seen them work, and I'm just really proud of them because I think that's also helped people who've come here, to feel like, well, there's people that say to me all the time when they come on sets and stuff, there's such a peace here. There's such a peace of God here. People feel God on this property. I had filmmakers come from California and came in to survey the land and look over because they're going to, make a film hopefully this fall. And the two director and writers went away saying, we don't know what it is, but there's something different about here. Like, we just were in LA, and we visited a studio there, and it's not the same thing. This has got a different spirit. There's a spirit of peace. We feel calm here. There's no stress. And I thought, what a great thing to have from people who've just been to LA to a studio there. They notice the difference, and I think that's what we're seeing with people at the conference.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, you mentioned, there's a couple of things that I want to touch on a little bit. You mentioned, for instance, starting the conference with worship.
Uh-huh.
This is the only and first conferences that I attend where they started off with worship. Now, there's other conferences, I'm also a member of the board of ICBM.
Yes, I'm going to ask you about
it's a great conference, but there's a different DNA, different style, different look, whatever. And they have worship every morning. There's worship, but they don't start the conference with worship, whereas this one always has. And I think it's because Tim understands that, first of all, worship is what brings the presence of God. The Bible says He inhabits the praises of His people.
Yes.
So if you want Him to come and inhabit, you praise, you worship. And I think Tim understands that. So once you bring Him in, He ain't going to leave if you just continue in what you're doing, but if you started off with worship.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that has made a big difference is we started off that way. And once we get going with that, that's it. He's here the whole time.
Speaking of ICBM, what's the difference between like what content does and what ICBM does?
Okay, so ICBM is an older organization. They've been around for 50 years. Okay? So there is a different level of, and this is not an insult to content, but there's a different level of maturity. Okay, so they're more. How am I going to say this without sounding like?
Well, they've been doing it for 50
They've been
years.
doing it for years. So it's a little bit more
Bigger.
mature. The people obviously now, we do need to concentrate on bringing in youth, but the people are the elder people, and that's one thing I've been telling the board at ICBM is we need to really make it, really force ourselves to think about somehow bringing young people.
Right.
Because for a while it's almost felt like just a bunch of old guys patting each other on the back. Good job, yeah, I saw your film. Great job. Oh yeah, you're talking, you did a great job.
We call it the good old boys.
Yeah, we were in the middle of we need to now bring it over to the youth. Okay,
Right.
So that's one area where I think at ICBM we're working hard at it. I don't want to say we're missing it, but we are working at it because I think we've understood that now. But so it's a little more mature. The other one is that it's God. I keep what I keep hoping that I don't sound like I'm putting another one down. It's just different. Another one is it's a little more upscale-ish in essence, which doesn't mean it's better. It just means it's more upscale because we have it at a hotel. So
It's a different
so it's a
feel.
different feel.
Right.
The dinners and lunches are served on, for instance, real dishes with real spoons and forks and knives, and servers bringing it over. So there's
It's
that
a
level.
yeah.
But what I love about this is it's almost like we're going to our mom's home cooked meals, and
Yeah.
we're all just sitting together,
Yeah.
and we're being served on paper plates. It's just
But it's been good
it's
food.
just
and
different.
been
It's
good.
great food.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so again, it's not that I'm saying one's better than the other. It's just different. So
Yeah,
that's one of the differences.
Yeah.
And can I think of another difference? I don't know. Other than that, it's pretty.
But for
it's pretty
people who want to do
similar.
film, television, all that,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the same
similar.
thing.
It's,
And they're
it's,
entering things.
directors, filmmakers
Yeah.
of all kinds that come in to learn stuff, to network,
Okay.
to become a community, to learn and to kind of revitalize ourselves, to re-energize.
Okay. Now tomorrow night has not happened yet, but by the time this airs, it will have. But it's an award show. So tell us a little bit about what the awards are, because you know more about that than I do. The awards that are given out, and because there are people that come here that win awards, so it's kind of fun because by the end of the whole thing, there's a reward for what you've done and for what you participate in.
There is, and so people submit their works.
Yeah.
Whether it be short films, full features, series, music videos, whatever they created in media, they submit it. And then a group of judges, who I don't know who they are, or else if I submitted something, I'd be able to pay them off. So there's a group of judges that judge the works, and then they give them an award. It's a beautiful award that just recognizes
Right.
your work. And so that is held on the last night, again, with worship first.
Yeah.
So we don't just do the awards. We start off with worship and
Uh-huh.
everything, and then we say, "Here's the award for it," and he just awards everybody. And I gotta admit, he gives out a lot of awards.
And some people get 2 or 3
So
or 4.
he gives a lot of awards, but that's Tim's pastoral
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
He says, "I just want to recognize as many people as I can."
Right. Right.
And so
He
I
doesn't
think-
want people to feel left out.
yeah, and so I think he does it as a
Yeah.
look. I recognize that you did work. You
Right.
did amazing work, and I want you to know that and keep going. So
Talk about where the next content's going to be and what you guys are doing that's a little different about the next one.
well, again, going back to the whole church thing, the last content that we had. I just moved to Texas a year and a half ago, and I was looking for a church, and we visited a few, and not that they were bad, but there was a particular DNA again that I was looking for, and I found one that was just an amazing church. And actually, it's interesting that it's about the same age as the church that I started with
Oh,
my pastor
really?
Diego in California, so it's parallel there. The pastor happened to have gone to the same Bible school as my pastor in California at around the same time. They
Wow.
don't know each other, but they were there about the same time, so there's that. But when I went, some of the important things for me would be, is the preaching what I like? Not is it good because somebody else can be good, but is it the way
Right.
it fits me? The other one was worship, again, being a worship leader. And even though they don't do the type of worship that I do, which is a little bit more traditional, but they do it so well and they do it so heartfelt that I was like, oh, this is awesome. But then I realized their media department was
Yeah.
they rival network quality TV.
Wow,
They
really?
really do. And so I immediately had to contact the whoever was. I said, I gotta find out who this media guy is. So I contacted the church, and I get an email back from the media guy. He says, yeah, let's go to lunch. So we go to lunch, and we just became really good friends. And I invited him to the last Content 22, with the spring edition. He had never been to a media conference again because churches never send media people.
Mhm.
So he came to this one. He was so impressed. He went back home. It turns out his parents are the senior pastors of the church. He went over there and he just told them, we have to host
Oh, wow.
this thing. And so we begin the process. And so the next one will be in Conroe at the Ark Church. So
Okay.
the Ark Church in Conroe, which has like 10 breakout rooms, all with big old screens.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be able to have a lot more sessions, a lot more breakout
Yes,
sessions.
yes.
The place where we're going to have our lunches and dinners and all come together, because we all do come together, has a huge screen, and it's just an amazing place. And then the awards show is going to be in the main sanctuary, which is, I mean, it's like you're watching the what's that music show?
The Voice or something like
It's like
that,
watching
yeah.
The Voice just screams
America's
at
Got
everybody.
Talent, really? Wow, yeah.
So it's going to be a real kind of interesting, exciting thing for everybody.
Yeah,
We're going to be able to invite a lot of people. Well, here's the other thing. The pastor, well, the media guy says, with his dad, the pastor, they're going to invite media, media people from churches all around the area, and they'll pay for their registrations.
wow, that's
The
unheard
church
of.
will pay
That's
for all
unheard
these
of.
registrations of other media people from other churches to come.
That's
So
unheard of.
we're just expecting something different, but that's the heart of this church.
Right.
Interesting what they do at offering all the time when they pray for the offering. At every prayer for every week's offering, they pray for another church.
Yes,
It's kind of I've
Yeah.
never seen that.
yes.
So that's their heart is to make sure other churches are
Yes, are growing as well.
growing. So they're going to do this. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting the lobby where we have where we do our where we did most of our interviews, where we have the
Yes.
tables for showcasing.
Yes.
Over there's going to be their lobby, which is like being in a big major hotel. So
Nice.
it's going to be so much.
Okay, so for people that are interested in doing that, they just, again, go to content.
Go to the website. I wish I could remember. I think it's Christian Media
Christian Media
Conferences.
Conferences it is, yeah.
.com, so ChristianMediaConference.com,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to see all the information there. You can of course register to go to the conference. If you're a media professional and you have services that are good, that are needed for media people, then you might want to be a part of the showcase and come and share what you do with everybody. Whether it be that you're a makeup artist, a sound design guy, equipment, an actor, a producer, or just come over and showcase your services to the.
And last but not least, something fun that happened to us is while we were here, we're on a new network. So it was fun being
Oh, I
here
know.
and getting a new network that we're going to be on and meeting her. She's a doll. I love her.
I know. I had this big banner made, and it says we're on 20 different networks.
Yes.
And I'm gonna have to change that now. That
Oh,
it's
yeah.
no good anymore.
That's a bit of a white pen and pin it out. Oh my gosh. But that's exciting. In Nashville, folks, and you can see it actually all over, but it'll be in Nashville. And we'll give you more information on that. But anyway, a lot of great things came out of Content 22
I know.
here. This was a fun time.
Now I'm ready for my nap.
I was done.
So-
You gotta go sing and eat or something.
oh,
haven't you?
that's tomorrow.
So that's tomorrow. Okay.
But anyway, folks, don't forget, we really would love to hear from you. So write us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. We really want to hear from you. Let us know how you like the program. Let us know if you don't like it. No, don't tell us if you don't like it. No, yeah, tell us whatever. Let us know if maybe there's somebody that you would like for us to interview. So again, faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at faithonfilmtv. And what else do we want them to do?
We want you to subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe button, because we need more people to subscribe on YouTube. It makes a difference on YouTube for our followers, and we really mean that, so please do that for us nicely. And have your friends and family do it too. Yeah,
Well, Holly,
okay.
we did it.
We got more to do.
We
We
got
got
more.
more interviews and more fun to have in Content 2022. So let's go out and have more fun.
See you all.